Have you ever wondered what happens when someone who owns everything hides it all just to see the truth? Imagine a man, the head of a hotel chain, walking into his own building, not as the boss in a suit, but as a stranger who could barely afford the cheapest room. That fear of not knowing how people treat you when they think you are nobody. That feeling is heavy, isn't it? Before we begin, do something kind for yourself. Press the like button. Because I know you're a good person. Yes, you. And this is exactly for you. And while you're here, tell me below in the comments where you're watching from. Because nothing inspires me more than knowing how far stories can travel across this world. Now, let me take you into a story where one choice, one simple act, changed everything. Undercover boss books the cheapest room at his hotel, and the night clerk has no idea who he's speaking to. Let's dive to see. The man's name was Daniel Cross. On paper, he was powerful, a man in his mid-50s who owned more than 30 hotels across the country. His name opened doors. His decisions shaped futures. Yet, strangely, Daniel felt empty. He had wealth, but not warmth. He had staff, but not trust. And somewhere inside, a question burned like fire. Do my hotels care about people? Or are they just chasing numbers? To answer this, Daniel stripped away the titles, the suits, the spotlight. One rainy evening, he stood outside one of his own hotels, dressed in a plain jacket, worn-out shoes, and holding a single small bag. It was his own building. But tonight, he entered as if he were nothing more than another traveler searching for rest. Inside, the lobby lights were dim, casting long shadows on polished marble floors. Behind the front desk stood a young night clerk named Olivia Reed. She looked tired, her shoulders slightly slouched, and her hair tied back in a quick knot. But there was something gentle in her eyes, the kind of softness that comes from a heart that notices things. "Good evening," Daniel mumbled, lowering his voice to hide its usual commanding tone. I just need the cheapest room you've got." Olivia hesitated. She glanced at the screen in front of her, then back at him. She saw not a boss, but a man worn by life. His clothes were faded, his shoes damp from the rain. She could have sighed, brushed him away, treated him like another transaction, but she didn't. She leaned closer and asked, "Are you all right, sir?" A simple line, yet it sent a strange chill through Daniel's chest. When was the last time anyone at my own hotel asked me that, without expecting something in return? He nodded weakly, whispering he'd had a hard week. She didn't push further. Instead, she offered a faint smile and said, "We have a room available, but give me a moment." She typed quickly, her fingers flying across the keys, and then she printed a slip, sliding it across without a word. The price was lower than even the cheapest room offered online. Daniel blinked, confused. He looked up at her. "You deserve some quiet, sir," Olivia explained softly. "I gave you the employee discount. Don't worry. Nobody needs to know." Right there, right then, Daniel felt something break inside him, and something else slowly begin to heal. This girl, not knowing who he was, gave kindness without reason. She risked her job for a stranger's comfort. He thanked her, trudged to the elevator, and sat for hours inside the plain little room, staring at the ceiling, his thoughts twisted like tangled ropes. Do my people care? Or do they pretend? Is kindness alive in these walls? Or only numbers? The next morning was heavy with storm clouds outside. Daniel left a small bag in a room and wandered quietly through the lobby, observing workers. He noticed a housekeeper kneeling to pick up toys a tired mother's child had dropped, a security guard helping an old man carry luggage. Each moment struck him deeper, because yes, there were mistakes, flaws, but here, in the smallest gestures, lived something he feared had died, empathy. That night, Daniel returned to the lobby, wanting again to see Olivia at her desk. He found her sipping coffee, her eyes heavy, but her focus bright. He asked casually, "Why'd you do that yesterday?" "The discount? You could have gotten in trouble." And her answer, simple, cut through him. "The world is already too cold." Olivia murmured, "Sometimes people just need someone to be warm." His throat tightened. He thought of board meetings where he barked about profits, graphs, Expansion, never once had he spoken of warmth, the secret churn in him, until he could no longer hold it. 2 days later, he summoned the entire staff into the lounge. He stood before them, not as a weary stranger, but revealed as Daniel Cross, owner of it all. Silence struck. Gasps spread. Olivia froze at the desk, her face pale as if the ground had given way beneath her. Daniel's voice shook as he began. I came here because I feared my own hotels had become machines. I feared kindness had left these walls. I feared, in chasing success, we had forgotten people. He turned then, his eyes falling on Olivia. But one of you reminded me of what matters. The staff turned heads, whispering. Olivia stood uncertain. Daniel continued. When I walked in looking like I had nothing, you didn't ignore me. You didn't treat me small. You were the beating heart of this place. And you reminded me, no empire is worth building unless it builds kindness first. Tears blurred Olivia's eyes. Her hands trembled. She whispered she was only doing her job, but Daniel shook his head. No, you were doing more than your job. You were doing humanity. Word spread like wildfire. That night Clerk, saving the owner from his own blindness. Weeks passed. Daniel began new changes. Staff now had more breaks, better training, and most of all, the freedom to prioritize care over speed. And Olivia, who once worried about paying rent each month, was promoted to manager with better pay, not because of rules, but because of heart. Yet the story did not end in applause. For in the silence of his home, one evening, Daniel sat alone, staring at his reflection, and whispered, strange, it took becoming nobody, to finally understand what it means to be somebody. Life teaches us with pain, with fears, with suspicions, but sometimes it takes a stranger's hand to guide us back to truth. Olivia's choice wasn't grand, wasn't loud, but it was pure, and purity of kindness is louder than any fortune. So remember this. You never know who's standing in front of you. You never know what battles they fight. Treat them with warmth, and maybe, just maybe, you'll change not just their night, but their entire life. This story is not just about hotels or bosses or strangers. It is for you, because out there, someone is waiting for your small moment of kindness, and that ripple can change everything. So tell me, where are you watching from right now? Share your place in the comments, because it amazes me to think kindness is happening all over this wide world. Press that like button too, not for me, but as a sign you still believe in goodness. And never forget the lesson Daniel learned in silence. Be the one who turns a cold world warm, because in the end, wealth fades, titles fade, but the memory of kindness lives forever.